fly to.
All right. And we're down to our last speaker. Tracy's so eager, she's already at the podium. She tried to beat me up here. So Tracy's an awesome person, known of her for a lot longer than I've known her, but really respect her and the way that she builds community, constantly gives back and teaches people how to do the things that they don't know how to do. And you do it in a way that they don't feel undermined, you know? Yeah, you're so nice about it, and people feel like I learned about it, and I want to follow you for this. So I'll let you take it from here. So Tracy Beavers, welcome to the stage.
Aim at the computer?
Well, you can just click it, and it's going to be right here.
Oh, there we go. All right. Thank you. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. First, I want to say thank you to Ty. Right back at you, my friend. I feel the same way about you. And Brittany and Karen, thank you so much for this opportunity, for allowing me to come here and talk to you guys today about email list growth. Super sexy topic, right? But I'm telling you, hang on to yourself, because by the time I'm done with this, you're gonna agree with me. You're gonna be like, that was the sexiest topic I heard all day. So, using an email list to your advantage, building listener loyalty, who doesn't want that? Engagement and income. Did I just get your attention? Because your email list has the power to literally change the trajectory of your listenership, your fan base, the audience loyalty, your downloads. Did I get your attention with that one? And your income. But first, I want to introduce myself and my gorgeous family. This is my husband, John. This is our family when we were in Spain last spring visiting our son. Our daughter, Emily, she's 25. She's a police officer in North Little Rock. And she just bought her first home about 6 months ago, so I'm a little proud. And Jack is 21, that strapping young man right there. He looks like he's a 35-year-old father of two, but he is not. Yes, he's been buying beer since he was 16. But he's a junior at St. Louis University, and fun fact, he is my podcast manager. He thought he was gonna get away from his mom when he went to college. I ruined that. Completely ruined that for him. Because on the podcast audio, sometimes I'll go, hey, it's Mom, I love you. And he's probably like, oh my stars. Please stop doing this because I have to edit it out, right? All right, but I want to introduce myself completely. So I'm Tracy Beavers, as Ty mentioned. I'm a business and sales coach from Little Rock, Arkansas. And I have 20 years of experience in marketing, sales, and business growth. And about 7 years ago, tell me if y'all can relate to this, I got really, finally, fully fed up with my corporate career. Anybody? It started to feel like a jacket that was just 2 sizes too small. I couldn't move in it. And I thought, never in a million years did I think I was gonna leave corporate. If you had told me I was gonna do that, I would have been like, you're crazy, that's not me. Because I was raised in the generation where you go to high school, you graduate. You go to college, you graduate. You get the job, any job. You're thankful for the job. You're in the job for 40 years, and then you get a gold watch, a cake, a pension, remember those, and a retirement party. It didn't happen. Around 2005 is when stuff started being different in corporate America. The loyalty wasn't there. There was downsizing, right-sizing, all that stuff. And I was like, what in the world is happening? Nobody told me this was gonna happen. I was supposed to be in this job for 40 years. And so that was my first taste of, maybe this isn't as secure as I thought. Well, fast forward a few years through some toxic bosses. Yes, I did work for the Devil Wears Prada. She is in Little Rock. It took me a long time to get that out of my system. But also, working for a CEO in a commission role, okay, I was in sales, business development, marketing. I thought I would have control over my money being in a commission role. The CEO wanted to change the commission structure every single time we started to gain traction on sales. And so I was like, okay, now what do I want to do? So I decided to take my gifts and my talents in sales and marketing and be an online business coach. And now I serve clients all over the world. And my forte is visibility, helping you as a podcaster or an online entrepreneur be highly visible online. So you don't have to be online 24/7, I promise. The strategies I teach, you don't have to be online 24/7. And all of that visibility leads directly to your list growth, because your email list is where you are going to convert people into loyal listeners, which leads to more downloads, and potentially buyers if you're selling products and services. And then I have to show everybody's favorite child. This is General Patton of Pope Avenue. The entire neighborhood knows him and loves him. He loves our mailman, Nathan. And y'all pray for him. He has to have ACL surgery next week. I just found that out today. If you've seen me on my phone a lot today, that's what's been going on. Lots of texting back and forth.
We love you, General Patton.
General Patton. All right, so these are some cool stats about email list growth. Did you know that email conversion is 4 times higher? 4 times higher than social media conversion. And when I saw that, I was like, really? But if you think about it, not everything you post on social media is seen by everybody that follows you or loves you or likes you, right? We don't have any control over the algorithm. We've talked about that some here today already. And so, but if you send an email, that is like landing in the living room of your loyal listener or your potential buyer, right? Like you are smack dab right there in their living room. They are more likely to see your content in that email inbox. Also, this was interesting, 61% of people prefer to consume their content in email over social media, probably for the same reason. Because I don't know about you, but Facebook doesn't really show me all the things that I really want to see. I had a girlfriend get engaged a few months ago, and I had no idea. And she was like, you didn't know I got engaged? I posted on social media. I'm like, Facebook doesn't show me what I want to see. But if she had emailed me and said, hey, I got engaged, I would have seen it, right? So I can understand why these statistics are the way they are. And also, you've heard this before, when you build a business or a podcast using only social media as your marketing vehicle, now social media is important. We've talked about its importance today. But if that is your only way of building and reaching an audience, you are essentially, sorry, my hair is all in my face. You are essentially building $1 million custom home on a piece of land that you do not own. Now, how much sense does that make? Would anybody do that? No. Not in a million years. Paul wouldn't do it. He's a contractor. He's over there going, don't do that. That's not a good idea. But it's the same thing. If you're building only using social media, it's like building your house on rented land. We don't own it. We don't control it. We can't decide who sees what and when they see it. But in that inbox, you are literally in the living room of their home, front and center. So that is why email is so powerful. Does anybody remember a couple of years ago when Facebook and Instagram shut down? Was anybody upset about it? Probably a few people. So I had two feelings about it. One was like, oh, this is interesting. Did the wheels just fall off the bus of my business on social media? When are the lights gonna come back on? And the other part of me was like, okay, this is really cool. I get a break and I don't have to worry about it or look at it, right? Yeah, that part of me kind of won out after a while. But I'll tell you what, when the lights came back on, so Facebook asked me a few years ago to be in their Meta Leaders Network, and we're all in a Facebook group together. Very meta of them, right? And so in that Facebook group, you guys, there were thousands of small business owners that lost so much money during that 36-hour period because they had no way to reach their audience, their listeners, their subscribers, their clients. They had no way to do that. They had no way to make money. They didn't have an email list. My mentor, one of my mentors, sent a couple of emails to her list during that 36-hour period. Do you know how much money she made? $14,000. Which one do you want to be? Do you want to build on rented land? Or do you want to use marketing on social media and build an email list so you are covered on both areas? I think I want to be the $14,000 person. Email is also fast, cheap, and accessible to almost everybody. My 82-year-old mother has an email inbox, okay? If she can operate an email inbox, you know almost everybody else can too. And once you have your ideal listeners, your ideal clients and prospective clients, once you have them on your email list, it is really easy to email them. Ideally, you want to work up to once a week. Now, I know that may feel like a lot, and you're like, oh, my stars, Tracy, I'm just starting out with this, don't overwhelm me. Once a month is great. Twice a month is better. Work your way up to talking to your list once a week. And whatever you choose, we've heard the word consistency a lot today. it is very important also for your email list. The last thing you want to do is come racing out of the gate, excited about this strategy, emailing your list once a week, and you get down the road 60 days from now and you're like, I'm exhausted, I have nothing else to say. And you turn the lights out on your email list for another 60 days and you don't talk to them. And you email them again and they're like, who is this Tracy Beavers person? I'm likely to get some unsubscribes if I do that. So I'd rather you pick a cadence that works for you. So if you're just starting out, try once a month, but do it every month consistently because they're going to get used to hearing from you. And the whole idea of email is to use it as a vehicle to gain visibility, deepen that relationship. Maya talked about relationships and the importance of it, right? With your branding, you're deepening the relationship with your listeners, with your clients, with your prospective clients, so you stay top of mind. So when one of my clients thinks to themselves, I think the wheels have fallen off the bus of my business, my income is down, nobody's liking anything on social media, I need to hire a business coach. I want them to remember me first, and they will because I've been in their inbox. And also, since I'm right there in their inbox, they don't have to go Google me to find me. I'm right there. They know exactly how to reply and say, hey, we need to have a conversation because I need you to put my business back together. Or maybe when one of their friends or family members says, hey, I think I'm going to want to start a business. I think I'm going to need to hire a business coach. They're going to think of me first. I want that same thing to happen for you, right? I think it is so exciting. It's a great way to just deepen that connection that you have with somebody who already loves you. All right, let's talk about email service providers. We talked about this a little bit at lunch, didn't we, Mark and Anna? So there are a lot of email service providers. Pick one that looks good to you, that's free or low cost when you're just starting out. You do not need anything super robust. These are 3 that my clients and students use all the time: MailerLite, ConvertKit, which just recently rebranded to Kit. So you'll hear people call it, I'm probably going to call it ConvertKit till the day I die because I just can't do Kit. That doesn't make any sense to me, but they didn't ask my opinion. And then Flowdesk. Now, I did use Flowdesk years ago with one of the businesses that I built, and I'll tell you, tech is not my love language, like at all. If you can't tell, I'm a marketing, sales, wordy, I'll talk to you all day kind of gal. You tell me to sit down and build a website, I'm going to cry. That's just how it is. So, but if I can operate Flowdesk, you can too, I promise. And it's user-friendly, and it's really pretty too. So if you're into branding and you're into graphics and that goes with your industry that you're in, Flowdesk might be a really great choice for you. All right, the way to grow your email list, let's talk about that. So hopefully by now, you've changed your mind about email list growth. You realize how super sexy it is because it is going to help you with your listeners, your downloads, and your income. Now we're going to talk about how to grow it. I want to talk about 2 categories because I know we have lots of different people in the room. We have podcasters that have a show that they're not monetizing yet. And then we have podcasters that are like me. I'm a business and sales coach, and my podcast is a marketing strategy, a top of funnel strategy, if you will, to bring people that don't know me into my world, let them get to know me, and work through my sales funnel until ideally they hire me or join one of my programs. Either way, though, it is really important to have an email list. We're going to build a loyal audience right there in their inbox. They are going to love you so much, they just can't even think about not listening to your show, right? You can give them regular updates. You can give them exclusive content. You can give them behind the scenes stuff that nobody else gets unless they subscribe to that list. Everybody loves behind the scenes stuff, right? They love to know, be the first to know. It increases downloads. Every time you send an email to your list about an episode, your downloads are going to go up. I cannot remember who said it today. Do you guys remember who said that today? Anna. Anna said it today. The downloads will increase. And it keeps you algorithm resistant. We've talked about social media being a great strategy, but if it is your only strategy, you are subject to the whim of the platform that you're marketing on. But with email, if those things go dark, if those things shut down, if Mark Zuckerberg makes one more change to Facebook and that man, sometimes I just want to call him up and go, listen, cut it out. But anyway, enough changes. But I can still land in your living room through your inbox, right in front of you, right? And we've talked about how it offers a place for that deeper engagement. People want to build a connection with people that they like, they know, they trust. Maya mentioned that today with relationships. And people ask me all the time, Tracy, how are you so successful in sales? Because I built relationships with other people. I was a human being, a warm, kind-hearted human being, connected with another warm, kind-hearted human being. The sale, the transaction was not in my mind. What I was doing was building a connection with the other person and seeing how I could serve them. And that is what you're doing in their inbox. It also creates an opportunity for future monetization. So let's say you're a podcaster with a show and you're not sure you want to monetize it. That's okay. But I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and get started with an email list because 6 months from now, you may change your mind. And I want you to be ready. When I'm going to look to sponsor a show, I am not only looking at the download numbers, because that's really important, obviously. And they may say to me, well, I have a social media following of, 500,000 people. Well, okay, that's cool. Honestly, that doesn't impress me at all, and I'll tell you why here in just a second. I'll give you an example. But if they said to me, I have an email list of 3,000 people and a 35% or more average open rate every single time I send an email, and my downloads go up by X percentage every single time I send an email, I'm gonna be like, okay, how much do I pay you and where do I sign up? Because you're not only gonna mention me in the audio of the podcast, you're gonna put me in the show notes of your podcast, and then you're gonna send me into the living room of my ideal client through their inbox. Are you kidding me? That's a no-brainer. And about the vanity thing, I'm gonna give you a couple of examples, an example of me, an example of a client. So would it surprise you to know that I was thinking this morning, what is my total social media following across all the platforms that I'm on? It's probably somewhere between 20 and 30,000. Not a big number. Instagram, for example, I have less than 4,000 followers, but my business generates well over 6 figures every single year. Do you know why? Because I have an email list. And I have people that I talk to through that inbox all the time. One of my clients this summer hired me. She has 800,000 followers on Instagram. She started a YouTube channel 3 weeks after working with me, and she had 200,000 subscribers by the end of the month. Do you know how much money she was making? Anybody want to guess? $0. Do you know why? She didn't have an email list, and she didn't know how to talk to her audience. She was going for the vanity numbers. All right. So at this point, you may be thinking, okay, Tracy, you've worn me down. You have nagged me for the last 20 minutes about email list growth. I'm all in. How do I do this? How do I get people to land on my list? CTAs, calls to action, are going to be your very best friend, and it does not have to be complicated. We've heard that a lot here too, right? Today and last night we heard that. Keep going, keep consistent, keep recording, keep pushing that record button. Stay consistent with your podcast. I'm here to tell you to stay consistent with your email list growth and also with your calls to action at every single opportunity that you have. And even if you're a podcaster with no products or anything yet, you can still give a call to action that will lead to your list growth. Now, there's a couple things I want you to keep in mind when it comes to your email list, and your email service provider is going to help you with this, but there's some federal regulations regarding compliance when it comes to email. One of them is you can't just add somebody to your email list without permission. I cannot take Ty King's email and throw it into my Kajabi email service provider. I mean, I could, but I run the risk of getting fined for that, and that's not fun. Also, at the bottom of every email that I send, there has to be a way for Ty to easily unsubscribe at any time. I cannot hold him captive on my email list. That's against federal regulations. So just keep those two things in mind and you are going to be golden, but a call to action is going to help you stay compliant. All right, so if you are a podcaster that does not have any products, you don't have any offers, you're not sure you want to monetize, let me give you a couple of really fun examples I came up with of how you can get people on your list. What if you said to them, if you love the behind the scenes as much as I do, then join my email list to get regular weekly emails with the behind the scenes tips about every episode. Who doesn't love a behind the scenes, right? What about If you want to be the first to know, everybody wants to be the first to know, right? If you want to be the first to know when a new episode is going to drop, then be sure to get on our email list. What about this one? We love to spoil our listeners with giveaways and fun drawings. Join our email list to be the first to have the scoop. There were some guys last night here at the awards ceremony that had really cool t-shirts on. I think it was the Should Have Been a Podcast guys. And I was looking at them and those cool t-shirts and I thought, that would be an awesome giveaway. They could totally do that, right? And they have a great show from what I understand. And their listeners are probably like, I'm opting into that email list because I want to get one of those shirts, right? All right, for podcasters like me that have products and services, let's talk about what you guys can do to get people on your email list. So I have a free Facebook group. Thank you, Anna. I think it's the best Facebook group on the platform, if you ask me. We have over 3,000 online entrepreneurs. You guys are welcome to join it. People can promote their services anytime, network, set coffee chats, ask for help, feedback, whatever. If you get stuck in MailerLite, you can post in my group and ask for help, and somebody is a MailerLite expert and they're gonna help you. But a call to action that's really good for me, that grows my email list by hundreds of people every single month, is, hey, come join my free Facebook group. Now, you may be thinking, how does your Facebook group grow your email list? Let me tell you. By the way I have the membership entry questions set up. Anytime you join a Facebook group, that group owner has 3 different questions they could likely ask you to get into that group. By the way that I have mine written, I am not only compliant from a regulation standpoint, but people want to give me their email list. So that's a secret strategy that I teach. But in my podcast, I could very easily in the audio seed some stuff about my free Facebook group, talk about it, tease it. In the show notes, I can mention it, right? If somebody asks me, where can everybody find you to connect with you? That's a great call to action for me to use. So here's another strategy that I teach. Another strategy I teach regarding calls to action. One of the visibility strategies I teach is that let's say your Facebook personal profile, let's just talk about that for a second, but across all of your social media profiles, I want you to take a look at them when you go home this weekend. You want every social media profile you have to say exactly who you are, who you serve, how you serve them, make it really easy on people to find you and connect with you in whatever platform they want to do that. And for your Facebook personal profile, the strategy I teach is have your cover photo. Some people call it a banner. It's that rectangle right behind your head on your personal profile. Turn that into a list growth funnel. So that's a strategy that I teach. And in the podcast audio, I walk you through how to do that. Well, a really cool call to action would be for me to say, hey, Anna, if you're loving this content and you want to make sure your Facebook personal profile is all dialed in, go to tracybeavers.com/personal and grab my checklist to make sure you do not miss any nook or cranny of your personal profile. That is cool, y'all, because my listeners can go and download that. They've heard my expertise in the podcast audio. They get me in their inbox with that guide. I have deepened their knowledge of the strategies that I have taught, and I have solidified their loyalty to me because I have shown them exactly how to do something. And in the meantime, they've landed on my list, right? All right. So let me tell you a funny story. Let me see if it's on this slide. Oh, there we go. Okay, let me tell you a funny story. I'm gonna tell it myself. So years ago when I started this business, I thought, I'm gonna get on some podcasts. They're global, they're great for reach and visibility and list growth. I'm a list growth strategist, y'all. I can't believe I'm gonna tell y'all this story. So one of the first podcasts I was on, I thought I was all prepared. First of all, I didn't turn off all the dingy things on my computer. And after the interview, the lady was really sweet. She goes, you probably want to turn off all the dingy things you've got on your computer. And I was like, dang it, because tech is not my thing. But I learned that lesson really quick. But here's the funny part. Does anybody remember the Brady Bunch? Am I just dating myself? Do you remember the episode with Cindy Brady at the spelling bee? When she was at the spelling, she was a finalist in the spelling bee, and the television camera comes on, and they ask her to spell a word, and she goes, and she can't move. When the podcast host said to me, Tracy, this has been so great. Where can everybody find you to connect with you? I was like Cindy Brady at the spelling bee. So I want you to be better than me. When a podcast host says to you, where can everybody find you to connect with you? I want you to think of a call to action that leads directly to your email list. So now when they ask me that question, I'm either going to give them my free Facebook group, or I'm going to direct them to my podcast, Create Online Business Success. Because of the way I have my podcast episodes set up, in my audio, I give you a call to action that leads to my list. In the show notes, I give you a call to action that leads to my list. So be better than me. Be prepared with a call to action that leads to your list. All right, here's how you can find me and connect with me. Look, aren't y'all proud? I finally figured it out. This QR code will take you directly to my Facebook group. Please answer the entry question so that my admin knows you are a legit, kind-hearted entrepreneur with an actual business and not a weird spammy bot. And then this is my podcast. We started it this summer. Y'all, I'm so proud of it. We're top ranked 5%, and we ranked on Apple just in the first couple of weeks of the podcast. It's the most fun thing I've done for my business, and I would love to connect with you all there as well. So I think we're going to go into Q&A. Anybody got questions? Anna.
I do have one. While I do have an email list and all the good things, I often get asked, what is the best type or format of email if you're a podcaster that you should send out? Because there's a lot of people who are like, I don't know what to write. What would you say?
Love that. In fact, I had that on one of my notes, and I skipped right over it. Love that question. So the question is, what do I say to my audience? You're growing this list. You've got all these listeners on your list, and you're like, what the heck do I say to them? I am all about building a business with ease and keeping it simple and get fancy later. The easiest thing you can do is take the content of your podcast episode that you've already prepared and use that in the email. So I could very easily email my list. My episodes drop on a Thursday. I could email my list on a Tuesday and go, hey, I have a new episode dropping on Thursday. You want to know what it's about? I'm interviewing Sheila Cannon. Did you know she could parallel park a tractor? And she went from hating high school to being a beloved art teacher. Let's hear her inspirational story about being an online entrepreneur. You're going to be like, I got to hear from a lady who can parallel park a tractor, right? And then I could go a little further and I could say, did you know that my most popular podcast episode is episode number 5 about perfectionism? Isn't that wild? Did you miss it? Here's the link to it. Go listen to it. Don't overthink it. Think about the podcast content you've got and email your list about it. Great question. Anybody else? Anybody? Really? Sir.
So speaking to that, do you find how much give you have per ask in an email? So
That's a good question.
yeah, how much do you feel you need? Because you've given a lot to get them to that point.
Correct.
You also don't want to have them abandon your email. So how much give do you give before having an ask?
That's a great question. So in case you didn't hear it, how much give do you give before you ask? Great question, because I am a podcaster that has products and services. I want people to hire me one-to-one for my one-to-one services. I want online entrepreneurs to join my 8-week group coaching program where I teach all of my visibility strategies and list growth. But if I exhaust them with ask after ask after ask after ask, they are going to leave me. So in sales, I think I mentioned this, the reason why I was so successful is because my focus was on you, making a connection with you. How can I help you? How can I serve you? And you give and give and give. So I don't know an exact percentage, but what I would say is, look at your promotional year. If you're like me, I launch my 8-week group coaching program 3 times a year. So I'm very strategic about the other asks I have in between that, because I do not want to exhaust my list. So you want to be real careful about it. So I would say, if we're going to talk about a percentage, like maybe every, 4th email, you could have an ask of, did you see our new merch? That kind of thing. Now, asking them something that's free, like, did you miss that episode? Go listen to it. That's an easy ask. They're not going to mind that. But I think you and I both know what we're talking about, which is buy my stuff. So we can't be buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, because that doesn't feel good to anybody. That's the salesman we don't like, right? That's why sales gets a bad rap. Great question. Did that help? Okay, yeah. So it's really more of maybe do a gut check with it. And if you start to see a lot of unsubscribes, that's a clue. But definitely if you're doing promotional things like I am 3 times a year, I want to grow my list in between. So my list growth focus is really heavy in between launches for that reason. Miss Brittany.
So you said, like, you mentioned like 35+% for an open rate. What's the average open rate for an email campaign? Like, I shouldn't get down on myself if I'm getting, like...
How many email subscribers do you have?
Well, that was a part 2 of my question. I should ask that one first.
That's okay.
So if I have a huge stack of business cards at home, people that I've met, and I'm like wanting to start emailing those to promote that podcast that I started in January.
Yep.
You said that there's certain things that you can and can't do with it. So basically, I can't just sit down and say, hey, I'm going to put all of these contacts that I've met, we exchanged business information. So like it's kind of like an unspoken approval, right? But it's not.
It's a fine line. So, so technically you can. So there may be a business coach out there that would say, yeah, download them all, put them all on your email list, and then email them and say, I've got you on my list. This is the reason why you're on the list. If you would like to unsubscribe anytime, you can do that. You can give them an option to opt out. I don't like that because to me, it's a very gray area when it comes to compliance and federal regulation. And you always want to be above board. The best thing to do would be I'm trying to think of a way to shortcut this. To contact them, text them, or when you see them, just say, hey, I've got this new podcast. I'd love for you to listen to it, and I'd love for you to get on my newsletter. If they tell you, yes, go ahead and add me to your newsletter, if they tell you that verbally, you're still running a risk because they could try to turn you in. And now the chances of that happening are probably slim, but they could technically argue that they didn't opt into your list. Whereas when they legally opt in on a landing page that they go to, you've got proof of that in your email service provider. So that's a pretty tricky question, Brittany. I'd have to give that some more thought on exactly how to navigate that. But I think the best thing to do would be to just reach out to them, maybe by text, and just say, hey, here's a way to land on my email list. Here's my podcast. Set up an easy landing page for them just to opt into your email for right now. It would be better if you had a free thing you could give them that would be valuable, that they'd be like, oh, I have to have that. Like I have a free guide, a free training to creating 90 days of social media content in only 30 minutes. People want that. And so I could text them and say, hey, I've got this new thing that I'm doing, and here's this free guide. Would you like the link to grab it? And then that way they're on my list. With regard to email open percentages, that's a really great question, and I'm glad you asked it. So the larger your list gets, the lower your open rate is going to be. That's just, I guess it's, I don't know, numbers. I don't do numbers. I'm a wordy girl. But so my list size right now is about 3,800, I think. My open rate averages 40 to 45%, depending on what it is that I'm sending out. But I would say if you always want to compete with yourself. The first emails you send out, the email open rate may be 35% or higher, which is great. It might not be, but that's okay because you can improve it every single time. So it's hard to say exactly where to start, but I wouldn't get down on yourself at all when you're just starting out because they're getting used to seeing you in their inbox. You're getting used to emailing, and you're figuring it out as you go. Like, what are they resonating with? What are they opening? And the subject line, I will say this, the two most read parts of an email. Does anybody know what they are? I just said one of them. Subject line and what else on it? The what? The PS. Subject line and PS. The subject line, I'll give you all a little tip. When you're writing your emails, put an emoji as the first character of that subject line. If you're picturing an email inbox and there's all kinds of emails there, and there's one that has this big yellow smiley face on it, which one are you gonna see first? I'm gonna be like, oh, that looks happy. I'm gonna open that, right? So put an emoji there, and then your subject line, make it fun. Like I did when I emailed my list about I was gonna interview Sheila, I said, she can parallel park a tractor. And people were like, okay, I gotta open this because I don't know what she's talking about, right? Curiosity got the better of them. And then the PS, great real estate in an email because people read the subject line, they get the email. Are y'all skimmers? Do you skim emails? Anybody willing to admit there's skimmers? Yeah, we're a bunch of skimmers. Everybody's skimming. Make it skimmable. lots of white space, break every rule that your writing composition teacher taught you in college. None of that applies anymore. We're not writing a 5-point essay. If you read my emails, my mother is an English teacher. She reads my emails. She goes, I can't stand the way you write these. I'm like, I'm sorry, they're not for you. It's like 1 line, white space. Another 2 lines, white space. And the PS at the bottom is usually a call to action to something. Like, hey, did you know I have 45-minute one-to-one sessions? Or, hey, did you know I've got this podcast episode that did really well? Or, hey, I've got this blog I wrote just for you. So, kind of went off on a tangent on that. I answered a question nobody asked me. How about that? Brittany, did that help? Okay. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned something just in that whole amazing tangent that I'm curious if you said that intentionally because you have experience with it or what your thought is. You said send a text. I don't know if that was intentional or you were just saying like a text and an email, but have you experimented any with text marketing and its growth?
Oh, did I say send a text?
Maybe I misheard you. I heard the word text.
Oh, well, I was talking to Brittany about how to contact her people to get them to opt in. Opt in.
Similar to email list marketing, a lot of them are running tandem with each other now. Do you have any experience to speak to that?
Yeah, sending text messages to your list. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So I don't do this unless I'm in launch. The reason why we use Project Broadcast, and we have followed the statistics all year. I launched in January, February, opened my program again April, May, opened the program again in late September, October. January, February, we did not use Project Broadcast, which is a text messaging service where when you go to opt into, I launch with live masterclasses. So what you'll see from me on promotion is, I've got this free live masterclass, come join me. You go to the URL of the landing page, you opt in for the time and date you want to come, and then there's an option to put in your cell phone number to get text reminders of the date and time that you signed up for. January, February, we didn't use it. The show up live rate on my masterclasses was 33%, which is still good. It increased to 42% in April when we used Project Broadcast, and it stayed the same in October. Even given the election and everything and all the madness we had going on at the time, the show up rate stayed the same. So yes, it is a powerful strategy to use. I only use it during launches because I want to keep my expenses really, really low. But if you have a good reason to use it, yeah, for sure, it can be powerful because it's just another reminder. People are so busy that they need more emails than you are comfortable sending. Especially when it comes to promotion, and nobody asked this question, but I'm going to just share it with you anyway. You have to use every available opportunity to remind people of what you have and how they can hire you. And the minute you start to feel like a broken record with your marketing and your emails and your texting is the minute they are just beginning to know who you are and start paying attention. So be consistent and stay the course, because on the last couple of days of my promotion campaign, when we're about to close the doors on the program, we sent 3 emails on the last day. And that felt really uncomfortable to me, but people wait to the last minute. So yeah, do the texting, do the emails, because people need those reminders for sure. Great question, thank you. Are we done? Am I good? Anything else? Going once, going twice. Thanks. Thanks, y'all. Thank you, sir. Are those shoes for me?
Yes, that's what it was. There was the shoes, not the bag or anything like that. It's also not for you. I've got a card for you. Oh, here. I'm build my email list. I'm going to put you on there. Yeah. Thank you, Tracy.